Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Storm Collectibles Street Fighter V Champion Edition JURI. Question of the day, let's just get it out of the way right now. Which look for JURI do you think is best? For me, I think this is the worst. It's not the look I would have chosen, just like when they did Cammy in her combat costume or whatever it's called. I prefer the other one, but that doesn't mean the figure is any less good for that, just fun question of the day. So anyway, Storm Collectibles, they have been kind of sparse on their releases this year, I think. I don't know if it's just been production issues or what, but hopefully they have a whole bunch that are slated to come out soon. So hopefully I'll be able to review those quickly. I don't know if it'll be before the end of the year. I kind of doubt it, but I do want to remind you, Big Bad Toy Store is your exclusive USA online retailer / distributor for Storm Collectibles. So if you're looking at places to get them, that would be a good place to start. Okay, this figure, some good things and some not so good things. We'll talk about all of it. Let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we look at the figure, let's take a look at my package. Usual Storm packaging. I think they have one of the better packaging layouts. Nice big window. Top has an opening. I mean, it's not open, but it's clear at the top. So if you did need light coming through to light up the figure a little bit more, you have that. So for those of you who display in the package, it's a nice one. Video game render on the front shows you what the character looks like. They got pretty close this time. I think that's pretty good. On the side, another render. I think she retained a lot of her Street Fighter 4. She was in 4, right? I don't know. I'm losing my mind. She has a lot of the Street Fighter 4 proportioning, at least, with the giant feet and whatnot. 5 was starting to bring the games a little bit more realistic, and now 6 is obviously very realistic. But anyway, this figure, the reason I bring up the proportioning is that's going to be a topic we have to discuss. She stands just about 17 centimeters. That's going to make her roughly, let's say 6 3/4 inches, give or take. There she is up against Darwin, definitely out of scale for 1/12 scale. I don't think they even advertise that anymore, though. All right, so we already did question of the day. Let's just go into the aesthetic. There's something funky going on here. The transition from body to legs is not there. It's just flat. And I get what they're going for. You can see, like, she's got the big legs. The big meaty legs, the wide hips, narrow waist. I get it, the big feet. And I think the legs are fine for that aspect of it. But the torso is not right. There's no transition from hip to waist. So it looks very weird on the figure. Once you pose it, you can hide it a little bit, but kind of like the Tyrus Flare figure, you have a whole lot of weirdness going on here with the diaper. It's a tiny little diaper because of how wide the legs are, how short the space is right there between the two. And that's going to lead to other articulation issues, which we'll talk about in the articulation section. Aesthetically, it's just not good. In a neutral pose, in a dynamic pose, it's not as noticeable. But like I said, we will talk about that later. As far as the paint goes, there's no shading or anything, but it is clean. They did a decent job throughout. No complaints there. Just feels a little flat, and I don't mean because of the flat finish. That's a good thing. I mean, it feels flat because there's no wash. There's no real detail stuff going on. It's just kind of color blocks. The zippers, not the best. This one's a little wormy. This one's really soft sculpt right there. And then from here up, it's really nice with the zipper itself and then both sides. That's good. They did a really nice job with the collar, and I think they nailed the faces. She has some of the best faces. Her eyes are a little smaller than I think they are in the game, so it's a little more realistic looking, but super clean. Good sculpt, good paint job. The hair, really, really nicely done. I think she has some of the best faces as far as Storm releases go, or head sculpt in general, but the face especially. Very nicely done. Again, clean paint job, just a little bit lacking in the life. Doesn't have much soul, but it's pretty good. Otherwise, looks good. Toenails are painted, fingernails are painted, and they did a reasonably good job. So it's fine. Aesthetically, it looks good everywhere except for right here. And kind of right here, but that's mostly an articulation thing. It's best to not have your articulation directly under the boobages. You want to come down a little bit, catch that rib cage. It'll make your figure look a whole lot better. Free consulting. So yeah, it looks good, but it could be a lot better. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for Storm. I think they could do better. This needed more time in the oven. There's something very wrong here that they really needed to adjust. Okay, as far as accessories go, that's one of the places Storm excels. Let's see how they did. We have the neutral face that comes on her in the package with the patch. We have another patch face with a smile. I think that is a gorgeous head sculpt. Then we have the one without the patch, and that looks really good too. Like I said, some of the best faces. We get the 2 fist hands on her in the package, then a variety of style pose hands, everything you should need. That's good. We get one effect part for her kicking, and it's got like this whitish, grayish, shaded, semi-transparent, milky plastic. Looks nice. I like it. And then we get what might be the largest effect part we've ever seen, which is pretty cool. I like it. They did a pretty darn good job. Obviously, there are some seams, but hey, it's an action figure. That's going to happen. Looks nice. For size comparison, it's huge. Here's the thing that I think is weird, and we're going to see if it works right now. It comes with this display stand, which is the one that they include with all of their effect parts, basically. So you have all these different uprights to get to different heights. So you're going to need one of them, at least. I think we can start with this one, which should be a base. It has the big peg down here. So we'll get rid of these because we don't need height for this one, which is why I think this is a weird thing. I think they might have been better to include a whole new piece, but let's see, maybe this works. So we're going to take that there. We're going to peg this in here. And yeah, obviously that'll balance just fine, but we're going to find out first time doing this. We're going to test it live, so to speak, sticking the figure in there. And she's supposed to be posed. I don't have her moveset memorized, so let's see. All right, so she's gonna have her foot down and her foot back, and okay, so basically like this. All right, that's close enough to the pose that they have her in. I guess it would be, yeah, okay, so it's like this. All right, let's see if this works, balance-wise. Storm, this is gonna be a modern marvel if she just balances quickly on this little peg and everything holds. If I can even get her foot in, that would be good. So you have to tuck the toes in. And we're gonna lose focus here, guys, for a second, probably. So you just tuck the toes in here and then shove the heel in, as far as I can tell. We're gonna try that. I apologize that we're gonna lose focus. There's nothing I can do about that. Toes are tucked, heel is wedged. Okay, so it goes in easily. Not gonna say it. All right, so the ankle's not too loose. It feels a little bit loose. Okay, I am pleasantly surprised. Obviously, I didn't do any posing. I just kind of did the splits that she needs to do and wedged her in. The ankle might be a little bit of an issue for looseness, but you can probably work around that. It holds. This is nice. Well done, Storm. It's well balanced. It looks great. That's going to be a heck of a display piece if you want to pose her using this accessory. Color me shocked. I thought there's no way that's going to hold up well on this. And with her foot off to the side, no way. But it did. So good job. I'm very pleased with that. Very surprised. Well done. All right, accessory-wise, 9.5 out of 10. I would say 10, but the paint job on the hands is a little iffy, which is obviously not a real big deal, but hey, still really good. So I could go higher still. You know what? That effect part is huge. 9.9. 9.9. Not perfect, but really darn good for the accessories. All right, let's see if this figure can pose without looking ridiculous, or maybe if it can pose at all. For the head, it's going to be standard Storm, I'm sure. Ball peg at the top, which is really a straight peg because it seats very far in. The hole on the head is pretty deep, so you'll get a little wiggle out of it, but it goes in so far you're not going to get much. But then you do have another ball peg down here in the squishy torso, which allows you to lean the neck and head. So let's see what we have going on. So yeah, basically no wiggle, just rotation on that top peg, but that bottom peg is nice and stiff, so this all flexes. This is probably one of the best examples of that joint. Storm kind of pioneered that joint when they first started, and it worked pretty well, and some figures have been good, some figures have been less good with it. Hers works pretty darn well. I like it. Nicely done. And this is all one piece, by the way, so good job on that. The molding must have been tricky. So that's nice. Also, she has a bit of that effect that what figure was that? Was that Quiet from Metal Gear Solid Play Art Sky? As far as butterflies go, she doesn't actually have a butterfly joint. We'll get to the shoulders, but she does have the adaptable chest piece. Let's call it that. All right, so for the shoulders, we have the ball peg that goes all the way through into the torso. You can move the whole thing around. Actually, it's so small, it's all right there. So I can kind of show you. There's a ball socket right inside that cap. Her cap on this side is showing, so that means it's offset. With Storm figures, it can get really finicky in the torso, but it's easy enough to readjust, so that's okay. So let's see how the shoulders work. Better than horizontal, full rotation, I'm sure, yeah, no problem. No tightness or looseness, that's good. Bicep swivel is fine. This joint here isn't going to be super useful, but it is in there. Double jointed elbow works very nicely. Not the best looking elbow we've ever seen, but definitely okay. And then for the torso, let's see. I'm thinking this is not going to be good. Leaning forward, the sculpt is just busted to crap. Don't like that, but there's not much you can do other than to readjust where you have your cuts. So that kind of sucks. It's not terrible on the back either, so, I mean, it's not good, but it's not the worst thing we've seen. So she leans forward nicely. Leaning back. Huh. If you go too far, it'll pop off. You do have a double ball peg in there. So, okay. It just pops off if you go too far back, which I didn't think I was doing. Alright. Let's try it again. Nope, that's as far back as she's going. Alright, that blows. Leaning to the side, pretty limited. Not the best torso. It's not the absolute worst torso, but it's not particularly good. Now, down here, there's no room. There's no way it can look good and function well, because the hips are all the way up to the torso. So let's see. Yeah, leaning back is nothing. There's nothing there. Leaning forward is not bad, but it's just flat and cut off because there was no place to have a sculpt. So that's a bit of a bummer. And I'm guessing side to side is just like, it's there a little bit, but that doesn't look, that looks like it's two different people. So that's not good. And of course you do get your waist twist or twists out of both. So yeah, this torso to hip area just sucks big time. It's gonna need to be posed in order to look good. All right, so let's see. She can kick forward pretty nicely. Just better than horizontal, that's fine. And then going back, yeah, her cheeks stretch, so that's pretty good. So she goes forward and back pretty well. So you're gonna have to pose her, get her dynamic, and then she's gonna look good. But that's going to be the only way to really make this area look good. Thigh swivel is in there, it's okay. The hips are slightly different hips than we were used to seeing from them. I wonder if that played some part of this weirdness, or if they did that because of the weirdness. But yeah, you can see it looks like two different figures. Proportionally, I don't mind it as much because that's how Street Fighter does sometimes, but this needs to have transition. Like, just look how much better that silhouette is by me cutting off that chunk. Hiding that 90 degree, almost 90 degree bend makes it look so much better. There's way too much meat right here. I don't know why. They do that a lot. You don't need that much meat. This joint doesn't have to be that big. This could be a lot narrower. Very unfortunate. Somebody else had that recently. I can't remember who that they released. That's definitely an issue though. All right, as far as the knees go, they got a little carried away trying to make it seamless from the front, because you end up with these meat flaps on the sides of the knees. Otherwise, a decent enough idea. When you bend her, she gets good range, and the knee isn't terribly ugly, so take it. Now, her ankles work better than most of the Storm ankles. They do go back nicely, and watch this. Watch it. They go forward a little bit. Like, that's a decent amount for Storm. They almost never do that, so I like it. Could be more, but I'll take it. And then you do have your ankle rocker, standard swivel. Kind of tight, and there's not a lot of room thanks to these, whatever these are, but it's there. So okay, and then the toe hinge is not bad. It's nice and stiff, so she can use it, and it's far enough forward that it looks okay. And it's not a perfect sculpt, but it's all right. So part of her articulation is just fine, but her torso to hip area is just totally, to use a British term, knackered. It's not good. That's really, really unfortunate. I'm gonna have to go down, I would say, not counting this area, it's like an 8. It does function pretty well. Including this, I'm knocking it down to a 6. This part doesn't work well. The hips work okay, but this part doesn't. So it's definitely unfortunate. Now, as far as the final verdict goes, I think if you're into posing the figure, you're gonna be okay. If she's doing a kick, you're not going to be able to tell that there's a weird transition because you're not going to be able to see it. But if you're into hero poses and just not having a lot of space on your shelves, so you want your figure to just stand there like this, it's going to look a little bit weird. That hip situation is just jacked. However, they did give you the world's coolest display stand, which just fell apart a little bit on me. I guess that's supposed to happen so that it doesn't break. That's cool. It's definitely not meant to be glued based on what I'm looking at. I like that, actually. That's pretty smart. Because this could easily take a shelf dive. Cool. So they did give you this to help you pose your figure in a way that looks awesome. So I'm gonna give it a 7 overall. There's some really cool stuff going on here and a couple things that drive me nuts. This really is it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm curious what you guys think. Some great stuff and some bad stuff at the same time. So I'll stick with a 7. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But that's it from me for today. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.